Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with another BNR announcement here. Huge shakeup in Standard, Pioneer, and Historic. Obviously on this channel we pretty much cover Pioneer a little bit as well as Modern and Legacy, so we're only going to be focusing on the Pioneer content in this particular BNR. As a friendly reminder, if you like Modern content with a little bit of Pioneer and Legacy with an emphasis on red decks especially, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we aim to be the most informative channel for those formats on YouTube. So, BNR announcement. Wizards finally decided to cast Resurrection on their Dead and Dying format. Inverter of Truth gone. Kethis the Hidden Hand gone. Walking Ballistic gone. Underworld Breach gone. So, couple weeks ago, Wizards unbanned Oath of Nissa. It's kind of their long-winded explanation that Oath of Nissa was never meant as a long-term change to the format, just a slight change. And then they started hearing player feedback that players weren't happy with the format, and etc. And then the Kethis combo was another combo deck that was starting to emerge as a problem. It was having high win rates, etc. And then they looked at the different ways to potentially weaken decks with maybe banning Thassa's Oracle as opposed to Inverter of Truth. So, long story short, Wizards finally listened to their community. Only the community's been complaining about this for months now. The numbers for Pioneer have been declining steadily. A lot of the events weren't firing. Even the 64 player challenges, which even I think Legacy doesn't even have problems firing, Pioneer was having problems. They finally realized that player participation was a problem. You think? So, as far as the format, and also this is the format they plan to bring to Arena eventually. So, as far as the meshing of Historic and Pioneer goes, it still remains to be seen how Wizards is going to flush out and differentiate Pioneer and Historic, whether they're going to continue to coincide, whether Pioneer is going to be the paper format and Historic is going to be the digital format, or what happens when basically Arena becomes the primary client, or only client really. But this was a badly needed change. The Pioneer format had basically become 4 combo decks and 2 aggro decks, and you had to warp your deck to beat them. So, you could play, taking a look at, the data here from MTG Goldfish, mono black aggro, pretty reasonable, disruptive, aggressive deck. Then you had Dimir Inverter, Mono White Devotion, Lotus Breach, and Kethis combo. So 4 of the top 6 decks were combo decks. That accounted for 19, 24, almost 30% of the meta. And then the only decks that were keeping up were decks like Niv that had like main deck hate cards for them that could look for it, or Sultai Delirium. Basically, you were either playing a Thoughtseize deck, an aggressive deck, or a combo deck. You weren't really playing much else. You had Mono Green Stompy and Devotion here, which was basically a fast combo deck in its own regards as to what it's trying to execute. It's trying to execute very absurd combo-ish like things, putting an absurd board presence into play, unlike turn 3 or 4. So, basically, you were either playing a hyper-aggressive linear deck, or you were playing a linear combo deck, or you were playing a combo deck with Disruption. And there really was no room for traditional mid-range control, no real room for kind of a mid-range creature deck to show up. So, basically, you're getting the combo show. So now, the problem becomes with Pioneer, and I'm going to kind of get into it, and maybe Wizards should have gone a step further. So Field of the Dead is banned in Pioneer. It's legal in Historic. However, Wilderness Reclamation, Fires of Invention are both still legal. So maybe there will be enough aggression and disruption in the form of Spirits and Burn and Devotion to challenge these, control decks, dig through time control decks that might pop up, or these Temur Reclamation decks that could easily port over into this format. It's going to be interesting to see what pops up in the format, but do keep in mind both Wilderness Wreck and Fires of Dimension are banned or suspended in Historic. And Historic, while Historic is overall a weaker format than Pioneer in terms of disruption and whatnot that are available, in some ways it's also more powerful. Muxus is not in Historic, etc. So there's a lot of very powerful cards that are not in they're not in Pioneer, that are in Historic. And yet, also Winota combo. So we'll see if the Luris Burn decks and the Spirit stacks and Delirium and Uro decks can handle the new flood of refugees, of Reclamation decks, of Fires decks, of Winota decks. So it'll be interesting to see how the format shakes out, and I really hope that those decks can remain in those particular formats. I don't think anyone's too terribly sad to see Inverter go and Breach go. Kethis, maybe there were tools to deal with Kethis, but that was another deck that needed to go. Devotion is like the one deck that's like, well, was it really bad to leave like one combo deck in the format, especially one that's largely creature-based? It did strip a card from the Devotion decks as well. So it'll remain to see what ends up getting played in the format. But there's a lot of excitement for the format finally for the first time in quite some time, basically since the Pro Tours that Dimir Inverter broke out. So see what happens with the format. Once again, good job, Wizards. Even if you are a little bit late, you did finally cast Resurrection on a Dead and Dying format and didn't just go, we're going to sweep this one under the rug, guys. This one didn't exist. But, better than late than never on this one. So, this has been John for Historic Nexus MT. Not for Historic Nexus. For MTG Nexus. Too many channels going here, folks. That's all, folks.